Hey everybody, this is the contractor in the truck. I wanted to explain something to you that I think that you all would really appreciate. You know, when we grow up as adults, right, as we mature as adults, one of the things that we tend to forget is that we used to be who we made, right? So our children are really us, but they are in a new form that has their new ways, that has their new system. So I think one of the most difficult things for a lot of us is accepting that they are different. And we can't make the same mistakes that we did with ourselves and give it to them. So with that in mind, I want you guys to understand this. When you have that young person, when you have that child that you are responsible for, that you birth, that is going to have your characteristics, that is going to have your behaviors and all those other great things, please take time out to appreciate them. Okay? Please take time out, when I say appreciate them, to appreciate their being. Take time out to give them a chance to cycle through this mess. It is not easy for them as it wasn't easy for you, and it's not as simple for them as it was for you. See, the difference now is that you're older, somewhat wiser, somewhat smarter, somewhat dumber, somewhat impatient, somewhat patient, somewhat cleaner, somewhat dirtier. But you have had years to do your thing, to create your footprints in the sand. As long as things are not disrespectful, it is very important for you to go ahead, gather your young person, which is your child, and have a conversation with them about who they are. Let them explain to you who they are. Many times you will say, well, you know, when I was coming up, or, you know, back in the day, and these type of things. Well, those are good for them to understand their history. I think that's good for them to know where they've come from. But I think it's just as important for them to identify where they are. You know, they have a voice, they have an opinion, they have brains, they're smart. They have questions, and they could be simple, they could be difficult questions, but they are questions. And a lot of times we write it off as though we know everything. And if we knew everything, then we wouldn't be in the situations that we're in. We'll be around the world telling people how to do everything, right? But we don't know. Every one of us in this universe is really just trying to be the best of ourselves. But many times, and like I said, if you don't take that child, then take your daughter, your son, or your children, and just gather them. Men, grab your sons and grab your daughters and sit down with them. And you know what you say to them? Hey, first of all, I want all of you, or even if it's just one of you, is to imitate me one time. Look at what comes from them. Look at what they see. Look at what they think. And then evaluate that. Then you say, okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing for you guys. I'm going to do the same thing for you. Every time you get a chance, reevaluate your relationship with your children. And you started young. You are angry, you are mad, you are sad, you are everything you can think of on the negative side. And you sometimes, many times, take it out on them. Why? Because you are the giant. You are the giant mentally, you're the giant physically, you're the giant emotionally. You've been here long enough so you know how things work. But you deprive them of their you deprive them because of their lack of knowledge, because they haven't been here long enough. And in reality, it should be the opposite, right? So we're feeding them all this information because we are teachers. The reason why the word grand comes before father, or grand comes before mother, or the great grand. Grand is a very strong word. So with that, you have to make sure as a parent that you believe that your children want to get it right. They don't intentionally do it to get it wrong. But when you have been conditioned all your life to watch TV, and you see certain things every single day, and sometimes you want to become them, right? It has been a very bad situation for us, many of us, especially when you look like me, because a majority of our viewing as far as identity was always on TV and any type of media. There was someone who didn't look like us. So it made us fantasize in a different way. So what we have to do is that we need to grab our sons and daughters of all races and nationalities, that you do the same, mothers and fathers. And you must spend that time in their lives each and every day that you're here to assure them that not only are you here, but I need you as much as you need me. I would like to make this thing work as much as you do. Now, I do understand that there are relationships that you have with family members, parents, or children that just can't be fixed for whatever reason. And I'm not here to judge that. Okay, I'm not here to judge that. Sometimes the damage is so bad that there is no coming back. But if you do have the opportunity and you do see some type of hope, you need to make sure that at a very young age and on a continuous basis that, you know what? No. Young and middle and older. Because there are older people still walking around with that pain and hurt that their mom and dad did not give to them, and their grandmother or grandfather did not distribute to them. When you damage a young person that is your child, or a middle-aged person, your child, then that's because you have damaged yourself. You are damaged, and you don't know anything other than to damage other things around you, other stuff, right? So you both have to sit down together and say, hey, listen, we need to figure out how can we fix us? Because if something is dirty and the other thing is clean, and the dirty enters the clean, now the clean becomes dirty, right? The clean can't enter into the dirty, and the dirty become clean. It doesn't work like that. So if you are built with so much of the negative stuff, together you all should figure out, how do we heal? How do we grow stronger? Because no matter which way you look at it, your sons and daughters are going to be you. You made them. You know, when you understand the mechanism of birth, there's nothing there but this thing called sperm. That's nothing, some fluid. And it forms itself into people like me and you. Our minds, our thoughts, our voices, everything is formed. Arms, legs is formed. But a child is only a bad adult when something in its life alters the goodness that it was born with. When an adult becomes angry and something happens, it could be something that they've held on for a long time, something they've grown up with, something that they've visualized and never got assistance with. But it all boils down to one thing. We have to be strong enough to be able to reach out and find some type of mentorship. We can't do it by ourselves. We have to be able to do it as a group, right? And when you think that your day is bad and your day is not going good, you should have a mentor, someone that you can speak with that is going to give you the side that you don't have right now. Someone that you can trust with helping you to adjust your behavior. That's why it's so important, I tell people all the time, is that parents should make sure that their children have mentors. Every parent should make sure that a child has a mentor. And in many cases, a lot of the parents and adults should make sure they have a mentor. And I'm not talking about your pastor. I'm not talking about, the deacon at the church. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people on the outside who don't know you, and who's willing to take that time and moment to be the change you need, or the hope that you need to be able to continue on. And there's so many mentors. I think that every parent should, when your child is 16 and up, I think you should go out there and find out what your son or daughter like to do, and then throw some other things at them. I'm in the vocational field, and find a vocational trainer for them, a mentor, and say, hey, listen, I know you remodel houses and build houses. Is there any way possible that you can mentor my son? Is there any way possible you can mentor my daughter? Heck, if there's any possible way you can mentor me, and understand what comes with mentorship. Because what happens is that we have let TV, we have let media build and structure our communities and our walls, and they have become so distorted that we have lost vision. We have lost pretty much a lot of our identity. And even in my field, in this vocational field, it's hard to find good help. And I hear this from other fields too, because we are allowing our children and our young folks to be lazy. We are not gathering together to create a force of understanding what wealth is, understanding what a career is. Because school is just a building that teaches you to get out and be part of a corporate structure. Is it 100% bad? No. Is the percentage numbers high? Yes. It is up to you to take the system and use the system for something greater, to really find the independence of self, right? Financial independence, spiritual independence, emotional independence. All these things you need to find out so that you have the opportunity to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Instead of someone telling you when to take a vacation, when to take off, how to do this, how to do that. You need to always find somehow that you can create an exit plan. And I've said this many times before. Mentorship is the way to go. Everyone who watches this video should be seeking a mentor. Find someone that's doing something that you're doing and ask them if they can mentor you. And then you must be willing to put the time in to be mentored. If you have a son or daughter at home and they're young, find a mentor for them. And if they're of a certain age, you have them to find a mentor. You don't look for mentors when children are like 17, 18 years old. You let them do that, because they need to choose which path they want, and then you all work together to make that positive. But mentorship is one of the greatest things you can have. And if you can visually be a part and see something, if you can physically be a part and touch something, it changes your course. It changes your perception. So it's important for you to understand what I'm saying in this video, and grab that son and daughter of yours, have that conversation, share love, share information, to hear how their life is going, and then let them hear how your life is going. Let them imitate you, and then you imitate them. And it needs to be able to do that so you can unite and hear and share both worlds. Because regardless of what it is, your young child will one day be in your position, and they're going to have someone young, and they're going to have to do the same thing. Because what is young becomes old, and what is old disappears, right? So it's just like a bouncing ball, right? Cycle just keeps going. But we have to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we empower, we inform, and we give everyone the proper areas of growth, opportunities to grow and create wealth, career and wealth. Understand those two things, career and wealth. If you're not working in a career, understand what a career is. And know what a career is. If you don't know what a career is, ask me. Understand wealth. If you don't know what wealth is, ask. But if you got those two things, so you're going to school and getting out and going to work for somebody at a corporate structure, It's neither one of those things. Because that's what they sent you to school for anyway. They sent you to school for, they wanted to teach you the same thing in 8 years, they taught you in 4 years, and then the same thing in 4 years, they taught you in the first year of college, and then you got to spend the other 3 years trying to get it together. It doesn't work like that. You need a career. Career is something that you know you have not only control of, but it is almost impossible for you to lose it. That's what as a career is. Wealth is different than being rich. It's different than having money. Wealth has its own terminology, and you need to understand that. Okay, so it's important for you to know what I'm talking about. All right, so if this video made any sense, let me know. I am the contractor in the truck, always trying to come up with some type of logic and understanding with what we're doing. I'm always your side.